Gambardella here, continuing the series of 10 things I learned from Royce Gracie, and we're on number 7. The 7th thing I learned from Royce Gracie is confidence is created by proper training. Everyone knows the importance of training, but most people do not train properly. Please let me explain. The average martial arts student goes to class 2 times a week for about an hour. Sometimes they might even go 3 times a week. During a typical class, they might spend 10 minutes doing warm-ups, 20 minutes doing basic stances, blocks, and kicks and stuff, and 15 minutes going over some new techniques, and 10 to 15 minutes sparring or doing katas. These times may vary by teachers and students, but this is about the usual. An hour to an hour and a half is typical, and it's actually effective in making most students get better, to a point. Please let me explain. I mentioned before that when my son Teddy Gambardella was training for his wrestling team, he trained 5 to 6 days a week, 2 to 3 hours a day, at least 250 days of the year. His high school team won 4 state championships when he was in high school, and he went to state 4 years in a row. When I went to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado to do a seminar on injury prevention way back in 1977, the wrestlers there trained 4 to 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, 360 days of the year. They won several gold medals and have had lots of wrestlers that won world championships. My friend Brandon Slade, an Olympic gold medalist, is now the new head coach for the Olympic wrestling team. And he intends to go back to this vigorous training schedule for the team after some rather disappointing modern Olympics for the U.S. wrestling team. A friend of mine, a great martial arts teacher and an Olympic diving champion, Coach Grandmaster Brian Robbins of SMU, trained his diving team 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, 5 to 6 days a week, 300 days of the year, or whatever the school year was, and included summer school. And he produced Olympic champions. Another friend of mine, and the only person to ever be a world boxing champion and a world full contact karate champion, the great Grandmaster Troy Dorsey, trained 4 to 6 hours a day, 360 days a year, to get ready for his world championship fights. Master Gracie, when growing up, spent 8 or more hours a day on the mat and still spends 4 to 6 hours a day on the mat. All these great champions and great teachers train hard and train very long. They train properly. And by that I mean they train techniques that work. They work in situations they might actually have in a real fight or in a real competition or wrestling match. So many schools spend their 1 hour of training with their students in techniques that have no practical value in the street and in the real world of fighting. Their students would get beaten in a real street fight almost instantly, and they usually get beaten in tournaments they go to too. Why? Because their training was not proper. Proper training involves intensive training. Proper training involves intensive workout. Proper training involves intensive real-world scenarios. Proper training involves working harder than you have ever had and pushing yourself to the limits on a daily basis. When you train properly, you get confidence. You know you won't get tired in a short fight or get tired in a long fight. You know you will be in better condition than your opponent. When you train properly, you will know what to do 99% of the time in all situations that you find yourself in during the fight. There will be no surprises for you. You will know all the different techniques and scenarios you need to know to stay out of trouble and to take control of the fight. Master Gracie said he knew 1,000,000 techniques, and while that might be an exaggeration of an actual number, what he does know is 1,000,000 times more than his opponents do. His proper training has taught him hundreds, thousands of techniques for every possible scenario that might come up in a real fight. There will be no surprises for Royce Gracie in a real fight or in the ring. He has been there and done that, seen that and overcome that. And this proper training has given him a confidence that is justified. He knows he can do it in the ring because he has done it thousands of times in a class under realistic fighting conditions. proper training in your martial arts school will produce the same confidence in you. I don't believe you can become a great martial artist if you only train 1 hour a day, 2 to 3 times a week. You have to work harder than that if you want to be great in anything. You have to practice at home. You have to do 2 classes a day or help with other classes. You have to get a great training partner and practice before and after class. You have to go to other schools and practice with other great teachers. You have to buy or rent and watch online training videos from other great teachers and practice those techniques and the moves they're teaching you. You have to have a library of books and videos at your home or at your disposal that you can study on a daily basis. You have to keep a record of your training and what you've learned and then write it down or video it for future references. Remember, in my last article where Grandmaster Burleson said, "I have forgotten more than you will ever learn," well, that is so true. Grandmaster Burleson did not have the use of video cameras to record him in his training when he was growing up. And so he's lost all that great knowledge that he learned. You do. You can record all your lessons. You can record what you learned in your lessons, and you can keep them in a file on your computer. If you can't record, then you can take notes, or you can take photos of new techniques you learned, and you can keep them on file. I'm the author of 38 books and 42 DVDs, and I honestly see things in these books every time I look at them I forgot I knew. But because they're in the books or in my DVDs, I remember them again, and I start practicing and teaching them again. You can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. With proper training, your confidence will grow, and you can become a great martial arts master. So that is the second thing I learned from Royce Gracie. With proper training, you can become a great martial arts teacher.